Hi everyone. Today I want to show you how to work in Cricut Design Space to create little paper charms like this one here that's the pair of scissors. Now I did a group of charms to make this card for Anne to take to her work where she works at a hair salon to thank them for some kind things they did for her birthday. I'm going to show you how I made these charms in Cricut Design Space, and then I'll also share with you some other sets that I have made to use for other projects. And so let's go into Cricut Design Space and get started. Okay, so I have Cricut Design Space opened here, and you'll see that I have already saved this set. When you first start out, you will not have a title like this. When you go to save, it will give you the option to give it a name, and I've already done that. So what we're going to do first is come over to our left-hand menu into Images, and I'm going to click on that, and then the first one I want to work on is a pair of scissors. And so I'm just typing in scissors, and then you will see all of these options that come up. So what I want to look for first is a shape of scissors that I like, and I want scissors that are open. I just think that will look more fun where it's hanging as a little charm. And I actually really like these pink ones here. I like that they're open. I like that it's kind of a mirror image, and I think that will work really well for what I'm doing. So I'm going to click on that, and then down here along this bottom menu bar, you'll see those scissors pop up right there. So now I'm going to add to canvas, and then it's going to bring me back to my canvas, and there are the scissors. Now when I look at these scissors, I see that there are three different pieces. In fact, let me ungroup. So over here on the right under where it says layers, there is a double box there. I'm going to click on that. That will ungroup this set so that I can pull it apart and see what those parts are going to be. Now I should have, before I did any manipulation, I should have duplicated that. So let me do that. This is my back arrow up here in the left top corner. I'm going to go back and undo all of that taking apart that I did. And let me just highlight that whole thing and then come over here to my right hand under layers with the double boxes, and I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give me a duplicate, and that gives me places where I can work. If I goof up, I can always come back to the duplicate and do it there. Now you might look at this and say, wow, that is huge for a charm. That's fine. While I'm working on this, I want it to be big so I can see it. So now let's go ahead and ungroup into the different parts. So when this cuts, this would be cut in the pink, of course, and this would be cut in the gray. But what I want to do first for this object is to create a background layer. So I'm actually going to come to my duplicate. I'm going to duplicate it again just so I have a lot to work with. And the first thing I want to do is combine everything together to create a background base to build my charm upon. And so I've got it highlighted. I'm going to come down to this right hand bottom under Combine. And then if I click on that menu down arrow, I have my options. I am going to weld that. Now, here's an important thing to know about welding. You cannot weld more than 2 layers. So if I had an extra layer here, the weld option would not come up. And so that's really important to keep in mind. If you want to weld, you can only weld 2 layers. And when I pulled it apart, I have only the pink and only the gray, so I know that I can weld that. So now with this welded, that is one complete layer. Now I'm looking at it and I'm seeing this little gap right here in those scissors, right in the middle. Now, that's going to make it a little bit fiddly and difficult when I cut it and try to glue it together to make my charm. I want to get rid of that gap. I'm coming over to my left-hand side to Shapes, and I'm just going to pick a circle. because that looks like it might be the easiest to close that. Now you don't have to close it. I just like it if that background shape is easy to use and not very fiddly. So I'm going to come in and put that circle right in to cover that gap, just so that my background piece is more solid. There's less cutting that's fiddly. So then I'm going to highlight that, and then I can weld that, and then you see that little gap is gone. So I'm going to get these. I am going to bring them to the front so that I can see how they sit on that background piece. Now, there's one other thing that I don't want to have to hassle with when I cut this out and glue them together. I don't care about this little dot that is the pen. And the way they are sitting right now, if I cut it just as is, this is going to cut as two different handle pieces. I don't want them like that. So I'm going to highlight that. And I am going to, let me just quickly duplicate just in case, so I have an extra piece ready if I need it. What I want to do is bring these two handles together because I want to have it cut as one piece. There are a couple of ways I can do that. So my first option, first let's get rid of that little dot because I don't care about that. I don't need that fiddly little piece. So I bring up the contour. If I click on it and then go out, you see that piece is hidden. All right, so what I want to do is bring these handles, those handle pieces, a little bit closer together. But in order to do that, I'm going to have to be able to deal with each part separately. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back into contour and hide one of the pieces. So it looks like that and that go together. So let's see. Right. So now I have just that piece, and I want that on its own. Now I'm going to come to this other part, go to contour, and then I'm going to go ahead and hide the other side. So you see now I have my two pieces. Okay, so now I'm going to bring them together, and I think I'll put them on top of my base scissors. And what I'm going to do is just bring them slightly closer together so that the bottom edges touch. Now let me move my base away. If those edges touch, I can weld them. So come back down to combine down here on the lower right, do weld. And look, I no longer have a line between the two handles, so that means they are now going to move as one piece and they'll cut as one piece. So then when it's time to glue this outer colored piece onto my back piece, it will fit on there just right. And I did move it slightly, so I want to make sure that it's still going to work as handles. And for me, that's going to work fine because I can center that on there and still go with a nice set of scissors just like that. So now these pieces I no longer need, and I can get rid of those. I kind of like to clean up as we go. This piece is now ready. Now, in order for this to be a charm, first off, I'll need to resize. Let me do that. And we want to always resize all pieces together. When I resize, I want to make sure I've got all pieces. So if I look over here on my list, I can see highlighted is the handle and the background piece. So then I can resize them both. Let's go right there. So that's about 1.5 inches by a little under an inch. That will be fine. Okay, this spare set that I've had over here, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I won't need it. Now, what I want to do is pull this apart, and I want to add that little tiny ring that makes this into a charm. So I'm coming over to Shapes on my left-hand menu. I'm going to choose a circle. And then for these charms, I have found out that the circle size I want is 0.2. And I have experimented with that, and I just know that's the size that I think works well for these charms. So now I'm going to duplicate that circle. So I've got two circles that are at 0.2. Now one of them I'm going to resize slightly smaller, and I'm going to change that to 0.15. And enter that. And then, so you see, I've got a smaller circle and a larger circle. Now I'm going to create a ring. So I'm going to take the smaller circle. Let me change the color on that, and that might help you see a little better how this is going to work. I'm going to take the smaller circle and put it over the larger one. And then I'm just going to highlight them both, go to a line at the top here and center. So that will put that front circle exactly in the middle of the back circle. Now I have two layers. I have the front circle and the back circle. So now I can come down to my right to slice. And if I click on slice, you'll see what happens. There's the front circle. There's the middle, and now there is the back circle. That's what I'm using for my ring. So now I can move that over here and decide where I want to attach it. I no longer need these pieces, so I can let those go. Now, I am going to quickly show you one other tool. So before I attach that, let me duplicate that. So now you know how to make the ring. I'm just going to store this ring up here for the next tool that I'm going to make. Now I'm going to bring this over, overlap it onto the scissors. Now, if those don't overlap, it will not weld. So now I'm going to choose those two pieces, the ring and the scissors. I'm going to come down here to my right to combine, choose weld, and then that piece is part of the background scissors. Now, I keep it on there. If I wanted to use this just as a single element, I can just trim off that circle after I get it all ready. There are just a lot of ways to use that. So when all is said and done, this is, oh, let me bring those to the front. There, now we can see the scissors. So you can see how this whole thing will come together. It will have the ring that creates the charm will dangle from that background piece, and this pink piece will be cut separate, and then I can cut any number of colors for the scissor handles, but those scissors are finished. So what I want to do last of all, so that they'll function together, I'm going to highlight that, and then I'm going to come over to under layers, and I'm going to group, because then these move together. And I can resize together. So let's say I wanted to use this as a standalone element and I wanted them big. I could resize them all together as a group. So that makes it just handy. So there's my little scissors charm. Now let me show you one more tool back into images. And I want to use one of those little, I want to make one of those little brushes that they use when they're dyeing hair, like these. And what I want to do is see if I can find one that's in two colors. It looks like the shapes I like would be these. This appears to be two colors. That's what I want. So I'm going to choose that. It pops up down here on the bottom. I will add it to the canvas. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and work on it in this larger size. So, well, maybe we need it, can go a little smaller. So the first thing I'm going to do is ungroup. So now I can take it apart and see what those parts are. There's little work to be done on this. This back part, I'm going to just choose the gray. And then I'll leave this front part that color. That's fine. I think maybe on this back part, I don't want it to cut all these little things, because when this gets small into a charm size, those things do become a little bit problematic. So I'm going to highlight that, come down to contour, and I'm going to hide all contours. And then you see it's all gone. All I have is that nice solid back. On the front piece, let's see when I do contour, same thing. I can just click those two, and then that's gone. Okay, and that's fine because I don't want them to be fiddly. Oh, I don't want to resize one piece. So in order to resize, I'm going to put them together. I am going to go ahead and regroup and then resize this down to something similar to the scissors. Okay, and then I can ungroup. I'm just going to pull away that blue part and bring my ring that I've already made. And I think I'm going to connect that just right up here. Do I want it up there? Do I want it down here? I think I want it up here because I'm thinking of how it's going to hang from my card. And then I will look at that. Let's move our scissors over. Let's combine that ring to the base. We're going to weld that. There we go. I think I'll go ahead and switch to our lighter gray color just so it's easier to see. And then we make sure, let's arrange this to the front. And then that is my completed charm. That's it. It's that simple. And now let's go ahead and group those so that they will move together. Okay, so let me show you the rest of the charms in this set that I've made. There's the scissors again, hairspray, a comb. That was all I had to do with that is to add the charm loop, a blow dryer, and a brush. And so that's the hair salon set. Now let me show you some of the other sets that I've made. If I go into my stuff up here on top, I'll show you some of my other charm sets. I've done one, and once you've made it, it will come up as a completed project. And so you can go to make it and it will send you right into the cut screen for your Cricut, or I can go to customize and it will open up a new canvas, but it will replace the one I've been working on. And so I'm not going to do that yet because I haven't saved it. But so I've done this sort of tropical beach set. These I haven't hooked the little circles to create the charms yet. I figured I would just leave it like this, and if I needed it as a charm, I'd go ahead and connect that. I did some different wave shapes. And so here's another set that I did of tools that would go in a toolbox that could be used for Father's Day or any number of other projects. Let's see, I've done this one that is a set of birthday charms. You see, I've got some more of my little circles ready there in case I want to make other charms. But I've got a gift, a cake, some party hats, balloons, and I can add to that set if I would like to. And then the other one is the one I showed you with my hair salon. So let's go back to my canvas. And there are the hair tools. Now, before I go out of this, I want to make sure that I save it. And I've already chosen the name of that. And then I can go into Make It. And then it will show you exactly how this is going to cut once I get into my Cricut. So these are all of the background layers in one layer, and I do like that. What's this? Oh, it looks like I need to change my new scissors to the same gray color so that it will cut with the others. And then I've just got the different layers. And in this screen, one thing I do like is that if I say, I actually want 3 or 4 sets of those hair tools, I can increase it here and then it will change all of the mats to print or to cut 4 of all of those. And then if I could push continue, and where I'm not hooked up to my Cricut right now, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to cancel that cut and bring us back to the working canvas. So I hope that helped you see some ideas about how you can create your own charm sets, your own images that are customized for what you need. And now let me show you more about our finished card. So here's our finished card. We used the little charms, some dangling from a little paper jump ring that we made, and some used as individual elements just stuck onto the card. On those, I went ahead and cut off the ring. Now, this card design is from Ellen Burniston. It's the accordion fold square. And I just think her card designs are so interesting. They're always interactive. She's kind of a paper engineer and just does some amazing dies. And so I just really liked how this opened. And then some of the charms are dangling from a jump ring that is actually part of that die set. You can cut jump rings out of a metallic paper and just create those fun little dangly rings. So this is the finished card, and the people at Anne's Work loved it. They thought the little charms were amazing. They wondered where we got them, and so we told them that I had made them, and they thought that was pretty impressive. But you can just make so many fun, interesting things with these charms. And so I hope you'll give it a try. And if you do, share it maybe on our Facebook page, which is called Coming Home, and you can join that Facebook page. And I just would love to see what kinds of things you come up with if you design your own charms or other items in Cricut Design Space. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.